We have an update on Clare's season, plus some of Bachelor Nation's favorites are calling out the franchise and more. Hey guys, welcome to another Shared News from Home. We have so many Bachelor updates for you guys, but before we get into it, if you're new here, be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell so you don't miss out on any future updates. As always, I'm your host, Fiona Zaring, and I am joined by the wonderful Avery Grooms. Hello. We have so much to talk about, so let's just kick things off with an update on Clare Crawley's season. Because you guys, she was spotted for the first time since the Tayshia news broke back on set of The Bachelorette. ET exclusively obtained photos of Clare at the resort where filming is taking place. They are reporting that it is unclear if Clare has left and is now returning, or if she just never left in the first place and has basically been hiding out. These photos do contradict reports we talked about previously that Clare and Dale were taken to a house to stay until the show aired. And this also sort of seemingly confirms Reality Steve's theory that Clare will have to remain on set until filming commences. Reports have also been surfacing online that Dale is currently in South Dakota, but Steve made it clear in a recent Instagram Live that Clare will not be joining him. He said, quote, "Clare Crawley isn't leaving Southern California until this filming is over. She's there. She's not in South Dakota. She's not in Sacramento. She is being kept there until this is all over, captive at La Quinta until this is all over." So you guys, when Reality Steve says something with this much confidence, I don't know about you, but I'm one to believe them. Avery, I'm curious your thoughts on all of this. Why do you think they would need Clare to still be there? Just secrecy? They're worried even more gossip is going to get out? What are your thoughts?
I think it is that just like when the winners of the show have to like stay private till that episode's aired, I think it's one of those things just so in case like someone was to see her out, they wouldn't jump to conclusions. And they're already trying to keep it as secretive as it is, but we do kind of also know a lot.
I totally agree. I also think that like with the quarantine, with the bubble, with everything going on, once somebody breaks that, it's obviously harder to come back in. So they probably figure like, just stay put, stay safe. Speaking of breaking the bubble, you guys, Chris Harrison did just break the bubble, and in a shocking, although everything this season is so shocking, so I don't even know if we can say that. In an interesting turn of events, JoJo Fletcher is going to be filling in for him on some of his hosting duties. So Chris Harrison broke the bubble to drop his son off at college, which he shared with fans on Instagram in such a heartwarming post. He will be returning to the set to finish his duties, but he obviously cannot enter until he finishes out that 14-day like mandatory quarantine period. It's being reported that in his absence, fan fave JoJo is going to step in to handle his role on the show. I love JoJo. I am a diehard fan. Been following her forever. I am so excited. I also think like she has some hosting chops. She's done some like, I think home renovation stuff. Like I think she's gonna do amazing at this. What are your thoughts? I'm excited.
I think so too. And she's another fan favorite. I feel like everyone loves JoJo, and it's just another twist to this season. It'll be something new, and I'm looking forward to her hosting.
So I also feel like she can sort of maybe even offer some wisdom in this like crazy transition of it all. Like it might be kind of cool to have someone who's gone through the process in that way there, helping Tayshia sort of transition. So I am very excited.
Moving from The Bachelorette, fan fave Mike Johnson just called out the franchise. In a new interview with Variety, Mike slammed producers for waiting to cast their first black male lead until there was an outcry from fans. He said, quote, "There have been numerous wonderful Black, Indigenous people of color that could have been cast in the lead roles. And for the franchise to not do that, it's just terrible. It should not have taken an outcry from fans who absolutely adore. That was a clear sign that there is power in numbers. So I love the fans who sign petitions and things like that, but it shouldn't have taken that." He also noted he hopes the show becomes more diverse behind the scenes as well. Mike also shared that he is excited to see Matt James step into this role, saying, "I'm happy that it's Matt. I'm not sure how Matt went from being a contestant to being a lead, but I thought that was pretty dope, and I texted Matt to congratulate him and called him. We know fans have, of course, campaigned for Mike to be the Bachelor, and he revealed to Variety that he was never given a reason as to why he was not picked to be the lead. But he did have conversations with ABC about the significance of him becoming the Bachelor. He also was clear that the conversation centered around him being a great lead, saying, quote, "I didn't get the feeling that they were interviewing me because I was Black. I can honestly say without any doubt they interviewed me because they thought I was a great candidate, just like the rest of the guys. And I conveyed them that I would absolutely love being the first Black Bachelor." Matt also commented on Tayshia becoming our next Bachelorette, saying, "Tayshia is awesome. She's a wonderful human being. I've spoken to her many times on TV and off TV. I'm obviously a proponent for representation. If she's the new Bachelorette, which seems almost certain that she is, this is wonderful." So I think this is great. Mike kind of followed in Rachel's footsteps, kind of holding the show accountable for things. I remember in 2012, actually, that the franchise was the target of a class action lawsuit alleging in racial discrimination, and it ended up getting dismissed. So I think it's great that more people are speaking out about it.
I honestly, I could not agree more. I think it's really great. Rachel has been such a powerful force in starting these conversations, and fans love Mike. So to hear this messaging sort of reinforced from him, I think that ABC is going to have to take steps and follow through with their promise to fans to do better in the future. And I think that people continuing to carry these conversations on is what's going to make that happen.
So yeah, I would say since the debut of The Bachelor, Bachelorette, it's been pretty much overwhelmingly white. I mean, I remember I was watching Jason's rerun last week with my mom, and she brought up I guess he's not into Black girls, but you have to ask yourself, did he go in there and say that, or is it the casting? Is it more behind the scenes? And that was the issue from the start. So definitely it's been an ongoing issue, and I'm glad it's being brought to light now, but they kind of have a lot of work to do in that category. It shouldn't have taken all of this for there to be a change made.
I couldn't agree more, totally. And I think it is important that you can't just make changes in front of the camera. You have to make them behind the scenes as well. Otherwise, you're not really living up to that promise, you're making to fans. Another fan favorite just called out the franchise, sort of in a different way, but also in a way that I think is really important to note. Colton Underwood did an interview with Reality Steve, and in that interview, he detailed his falling out with the franchise. He shared how deeply it affected his mental health. And mental health, I think, is another important conversation to have surrounding The Bachelor, because these contestants and leads really do go through so much, and they're opened up to so much hate on the internet that the show, I think, needs to help them get through it and help handle it better. Colton said, quote, "I had so much anxiety and so much depression that I was throughout the majority of my season airing, I was pretty heavily medicated. I'm not gonna lie, I was taking medication for anxiety and depression during the whole entire season." He also addressed that he was unhappy with the interview between his ex Cassie and Chris Harrison on The Greatest Seasons Ever. He said, "I get very defensive over people I love, and I know Cass is a big girl and she could fight her own battles, but I just know her heart, and she doesn't want to rock the boat, and she loves people even if they abuse her or even if they take advantage of her, which is what they did." So those are some powerful accusations he made. He continued saying, "You have Chris Harrison pointing questions saying, 'I sense you don't want to make Colton mad,' or 'you're afraid you're going to upset Colton.' It's no, Chris, I literally talked to her the morning of that interview. We're good. Stop worrying about me or painting me to be this controlling or angry person. I'm not angry. If there's anybody I'm upset about or upset with, it's you guys." So, wow. Yikes. Colton, he really did not hold anything back there. And I think he discussed some really important things going on in the franchise. His journey has been so interesting, especially to go from where he was to where he is today. What are your thoughts on his relationship with the show and producers?
I think definitely it was brewing tension from the start, and we see that with the last episode when he jumps over the fence. You could tell that was kind of when that was the boiling point. And he's been one specifically to speak out a lot about his problems he had on the show and the situations he were put in. And you could tell that Colton wanted to do some things one way, and he was probably skewed to do them a different way due to the producers. And that added up, and he basically is now addressing how he feels, which he should. And maybe in the future, producers will be more cautious of the contestants' feelings or just take different precautions so they're not feeling like this and it takes a toll on mental health.
I completely agree. I think that all of these conversations, all of these beloved people from the franchise coming forward and saying like, hey, this could change, and bringing attention to it, I think it ultimately just makes the show better. It's a beloved show. It's not going anywhere, but it's had a long run, and it's time for it to be updated, for changes to be made. And I think that the more people continue to talk about it, the harder it is for ABC to be like, no, what? That's not happening here. So I agree. I hope producers hear what he says, understand, even if they weren't working on his season, new producers come in and out, I'm sure, all the time. So coming in with the understanding that this is something that can happen to people, to me, is so, so positive.
Yes, definitely something they need to start taking more into account of. Moving on to another update from one of Bachelor Nation's favorites, Tyler Cameron.
I love someone else.
You think you know me? Y'all don't have a clue.
Tyler just shared a fun Q&A with fans on his YouTube channel, and he chatted with fans about everything from his favorite food, drink, celebrity crush, to what it's like living with Matt James. When asked what was the most terrifying thing he's ever done, he replied,
Picked out an engagement ring.
for Hannah, of course. Earlier this year, at the peak of the quarantine crew, fans were hoping Tyler and Hannah may get back together, but they've since stopped quarantining together and seem to be focusing on themselves. Tyler did also share in the video what he's looking for in a significant other and said, someone that loves others, respects others, and is ready to get on an adventure with me at any moment in time. That's cute. So what do you think about their friendship, how they were able to live together and still carry this cute friendship and not make it romantic?
Here's the thing. I am obsessed with Tyler and Hannah, whether they end up dating and riding off into the sunset or not. I think that they've had such a unique journey. I love that he's opening up and joking about how terrifying it was to pick out her engagement ring. To me, that just means he's someone he has a lot of respect for. That's someone he doesn't want to let down. And I think that regardless of what went on behind the scenes when they were quarantining together or not, they have such a unique friendship and they're not afraid to let fans in. They put some stuff out there, they keep some stuff private, and they just seem to have a genuine, real bond. It's not for cameras. It's truly something that's going to be a long-lasting friendship. And I think that's awesome. We see a lot of couples come together and fail in this franchise, and to see two people that at the end of the day, at the very least, have a solid foundation of a friendship, I think is super cool.
And this was actually Tyler's first YouTube video, so that's super fun that we get to see this other side of him and a lot more insight on his life. So I wonder what other types of videos he'll start to post now.
Hey, come here often? If so, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe, and watch my next video.
Me too. I also honestly, people are obsessed with his friendship with Matt James, and Matt doesn't have to start filming The Bachelor for a while, so who knows? Maybe we'll see some Matt and Tyler collabs on YouTube, which would, I feel just get fans even more excited for his season of the show.
Oh yeah, for sure.
All right, you guys, I want to move on because we have one more topic to get to, and that is Mr. Nick Viall has revealed that his season is very difficult for him to watch back. In a recent podcast episode with his runner-up, Raven Gates, Nick said it is particularly difficult to watch back the sexual narratives of his season. He explained that he went into the process thinking he wouldn't sleep with anyone. He did go on to recall one particular scene where he and Corinne made out in a bouncy castle. Do you guys remember that one? He said he was a, quote, willing participant with the producers. I was fine with the edit, but it's hard for me to watch back. He also said overall there were elements of his season he did not regret. He explained seemingly those childish antics I cringe watching back, but it was great TV. Even with Vanessa, we didn't work out, but I was going to pick her. That's who I fell for. I was nuts about her, and I have no regrets about stuff like that. I had a hard time letting go and enjoying. I felt so responsible for everyone. So this was a really interesting conversation because on the one hand, he really opened up about how he struggled to like not let any of his contestants down to the point where it was like hard for him to make choices, make decisions, but also that he pretty much regrets a lot of the choices he made, and like how as time has gone on, they appear like more and more childish in his eyes. I think Nick Viall is such an interesting character in Bachelor Nation. I love all of his podcast interviews. He's not afraid to spill the tea, and he's not afraid to make fun of himself, which honestly, I appreciate it. I liked this perspective. What are your thoughts on his regrets?
I think it almost like saved him, because I know he was getting like a lot of hate after his season. And, you know, he's just been so known in Bachelor Nation for not ending up with someone. And then this podcast really gives him a chance to explain himself and laugh about things that he may have regret and just like come clean. And now we all can listen to his podcast and look back on it together and laugh about it, because I honestly I wasn't a fan of him until the podcast. Like, you hear his side of things and I'm like, okay, he is like a funny guy. Like, he's cool. Like, everyone makes mistakes as long as you could laugh at it in the end.
Totally. Honestly, thinking about it, we were so invested in Peter's season. I was just thinking like, you can't wait for like 3 years from now, whatever it is, for Peter to look back on his mistakes. And I hope he can laugh at them and like have fun. What else are you supposed to do? You like go on reality TV, you date a bunch of women. Like, I think he handled it all very, very well in this conversation.
I agree.
Oh my gosh. On that note, you guys, that is everything we have to share with you for now. We, of course, want to know your thoughts on everything going on in Bachelor Nation. So let us know down in the comments. And if you haven't already, be sure to subscribe and ring the bell, because we'll be back here next week giving you more updates. As always, I'm your host, Fiona Zaring, and you can follow me on socials at Fiona Zaring. And Avery, where can they find you?
At Avery Grooms.
All right, you guys, thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you next time. Bye.
Bye.